What if I told you that ACCA FA2 is not actually an accounting paper? It's a pattern recognition game disguised as accounting. And most students walk straight into the exam blind because they're memorizing rules instead of recognizing patterns. Students lose 15 to 25 marks every single sitting because of one recurring mistake, and today I'm going to make sure you never make it again. You're not failing FA2 because it's difficult. You're failing because nobody ever taught you the hidden logic behind the topics and how they connect. Last month, I worked with a student from Manchester, bright kid, smart mind, revised twice, and still failed FA2 2 times in a row. He knew theory, he knew definitions, but he didn't understand relationships. The moment he fixed 3 specific connections, his score jumped from 46 to 82. And in this video, you're going to learn those exact connections without needing to fail even once. Most FA2 students forget one formula in the exam and lose 5 marks instantly. It's not because they're weak. It's because FA2 is structured like a chain. Break one link and everything collapses. This video is built to make sure your chain is unbreakable. By the end of this lesson, you won't just feel confident, you'll actually think like the examiner. You'll predict what's coming. You'll see patterns before they even appear. That's what separates a pass from a distinction. Today you're going to walk away with the most important examinable topics based on the patterns we've seen in the last 10 sittings. You'll learn high-scoring techniques your competitors never show because they themselves don't know how examiners build questions. You'll see real FA2-style case breakdowns using practical business scenarios. You'll get memory hacks, time-saving revision tips, and little micro-rules that instantly boost your marks. You'll also get past paper-style logic, not just solutions. You'll get mini-reels inside the flow, quick-fire reminders that will stay in your memory long after the exam. And you'll finish with a complete cheat code list that will automatically put you ahead of the average candidate. Before we start any teaching, here's your quick mental roadmap. First, we fix your foundations because most failures happen in the first layer. Then we attack the topics in the order of their exam weightage, not the syllabus order. After that, we walk through a giant FA2 case scenario where you apply every major topic in one story. And finally, I'll give you the cheat codes examiners don't expect you to know, followed by a real-style revision burst that will serve as your last day revision. Let's start by repairing your foundations. Think of FA2 as a house. If your foundation is weak, everything else collapses: control accounts, depreciation, inventory, TB, adjustments, it all becomes confusing. But when your foundation is strong, the entire syllabus becomes predictable. Most tutors skip this part because they assume you know FA1. But the truth is, most students only memorized FA1 but never understood FA1. FA2 is not about knowing double entry, it's about feeling double entry. Double entry is not math, it's a language. It's the grammar of accounting. Once you see it as a language, you won't need to memorize rules, you'll start speaking it naturally. The next mindset layer is control accounts. Students think control accounts are just summary accounts, but in reality, control accounts are the detective tools of accounting. They exist to catch mistakes. They exist to reconcile differences. When receivables ledger and receivables control don't match, that mismatch is not a problem, it's a clue. That clue tells you exactly where the mistake is hiding. The trial balance is not a list, it's a filtration system. It filters mistakes before financial statements appear. When the TB doesn't balance, it's not a disaster, it's a diagnosis. It tells you something is wrong in the chain, and suspense account temporarily holds that imbalance until you find the root cause. One wrong posting, like debiting the wrong account or reversing entries, can destroy the entire trial balance structure. And in the exam, they test your understanding of that destruction. Now, let's dive into the syllabus breakdown in the order examiners love testing. The highest weightage always sits in double entry. If your double entry is weak, every topic becomes double the workload. But if your double entry is strong, every topic becomes half the effort. The double entry matrix works like this. Assets go up on debit and down on credit. Liabilities go up on credit and down on debit. Income goes up on credit because it increases equity. Expenses go up on debit because they decrease equity, and equity itself increases on credit. Once you understand this matrix, FA2 stops being accounting and becomes a puzzle that solves itself. Let's apply this through a real student scenario. A London-based student, Sarah, once told me she couldn't remember whether sales returns were debit or credit. And I asked her one simple question: does sales return reduce income? She said yes. Then I asked, what reduces income? She said debit. That's it. No memorizing. Just logic. When you think in relationships, the answers start appearing automatically. Control accounts are the next high weightage area. Receivables control represents the total money customers owe you. Payables control represents the total money you owe suppliers. Exam questions in this area often test mismatches. For example, imagine Con Limited has a receivables ledger total of £52,000 but the control account balance is £50,600. Students panic here, but this is a blessing. It tells you exactly where the error lives. When the ledger is higher than the control, it usually means something was over-added in the ledger or under-posted in the control. If a discount allowed was recorded only in the ledger but not in the control, that would create exactly this mismatch. Solving it takes less than 40 seconds once you understand how both accounts should move together. Another common area is contra entries. Students forget that contra entries occur when the same party is both your customer and supplier. If John Limited owes you £1,200 but you also owe them £900, you create a contra entry. This reduces receivables and reduces payables. Many students miss this because they only think in one direction. But FA2 is about recognizing two-way relationships. Next is trial balance and error correction. The suspense account is not a random dumping place, it's a temporary balance holder when debits and credits don't match. Students make one major mistake: they start fixing suspense account immediately. Never fix a suspense account until you classify the error. There are 6 main types of errors: error of omission, error of commission, error of principal, error of original entry, compensating error, and complete reversal. Of these, compensating errors are exam favorites because they do not affect the TB even though the entries are wrong. If purchases were overstated by £500 and returns were also overstated by £500, the TB still balances. This confuses students but delights examiners. Transposition errors are another trap, writing 54 instead of 45. This creates a difference divisible by 9. When students understand that, they solve TB problems instantly. Always use the 5-step method. Identify the difference, divide by 9 if needed, check ledger totals, check control accounts, then adjust the suspense account only after confirming the root cause. Inventory valuation is a consistent exam topic. FIFO means first in first out, so earlier units are issued first. AVCO means average cost, calculated by total cost divided by total units after each purchase. The tricky part is cost versus NRV. Inventory must always be valued at the lower of. If cost is £10 per unit and NRV is £8 per unit, you reduce your inventory value, and that reduction becomes an expense in the SPL. Students often forget this because they think inventory only belongs to the SOFP, but it affects the SPL too. 1 question, 2 numbers, 5 marks secured. Depreciation and non-current assets are one of the biggest confidence killers for students. But once you understand the flow, the fear disappears. Straight line depreciation is cost minus residual value divided by useful life. Reducing balance is percentage-based. Disposal account confuses beginners because they don't see how cost, accumulated depreciation, and sale proceeds merge. Think of disposal account as a summary. It collects the cost, removes accumulated depreciation, and shows the profit or loss depending on sale proceeds. When a student from Birmingham was preparing for their exam, they kept getting disposal wrong until they visualized it as a story. The asset lived, aged, got depreciated, and then was sold. Suddenly everything made sense. ACCA loves depreciation questions because they test your understanding of 3 accounts in one go: accumulated depreciation, non-current assets cost, and disposal. Let's close this with something real. FA2 isn't a test of intelligence. It's a test of discipline. It's designed to filter students who study on the surface from students who genuinely understand the logic. You're not the type who studies blindly. You're the type who watches consciously, learns deeply, and applies practically. And that already puts you ahead of 80% of candidates sitting this quarter. If you want FA2, FA1, PM, MA, FR, or AA revision in the same high-energy teaching style. Subscribe to Education Bench right now. Your ACCA journey deserves clarity, not confusion. Let's make this path easier, smarter, and way more efficient together.